Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Dropping Down from the Rafters podcast. Today is November 1st, but I don't care what anybody says because myself and I believe my co-host for this evening, Tyler Peters, I think we're still in the spooky spirit. What do you say, Tyler?
I'm still celebrating Halloween and it's already happened, but I don't care because I'm scared and I'm ready to be even more horrified as we do this review. Tony, thank you so much for having me back on.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we haven't covered much WWE here on the Dropping Down from the Rafters podcast. So when I thought out my first video, I necessarily didn't want to jump into the wrestling part because I like when companies go a little bit above and beyond and do something out of the box and let us into the lives of the wrestlers a little bit and get to see their personalities. And when I watched the first episode of this show, I thought, oh my God, this is a perfect episode for a podcast.
Oh, it's fantastic. I can't wait to dive into it more.
Now, there were 7 episodes for the Chamber of Horrors show that aired exclusively on the WWE's YouTube channel. And they just wrapped it up yesterday. So what we're going to do here on this podcast is kind of go like little episode by episode and just kind of give our thoughts and takes and maybe some of our ghostly encounters maybe we've had along the way.
Who knows?
Who knows what's going to happen, right? I mean, last time Skits was changing the lights behind me, so you never know what's going to happen here.
I thought Stephen King was on the show for a minute. I thought we were getting The Shining. What happened?
Skits is scarier than Stephen King.
Yeah, forget Stephen King. Skits is scarier. How dare I? Now Skits is really going to target me now.
He's coming for that ear. He's coming for that ear. Now, episode 1 was very interesting because not only was it the first episode, but it took place in St. Augustine, Florida, a place that I'm about 5 hours away and I have visited several times. And I know the city is known for being haunted, but I've never gone to any of the haunting stuff. I've always done like the fun stuff around St. Augustine,
right.
but the hosts of the show, Shotzi and Scarlett Bordeaux, they took Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley into a haunted jail.
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, I had chills just watching the first episode. I mean, when Dominic's hair went up, I mean, come on, that brought all the chills. I mean, I've got goosebumps just talking about it with you, Tony. And there you see the lovely mommy, Rhea Ripley, and Dirty Dominic Mysterio. But yeah, St. Augustine, from like what you were saying, it's very haunted. It's a historic place. So normally when there's a past and a deep connection, that's where a lot of very bizarre things happen. I can't even talk. They've got me so scared.
Even in this particular steal that we had here, like he had tears coming from his eyes because because of all the encounters that were going on there.
He didn't want that kind of heat.
No, he likes the heat, but it was in the South Florida heat. But yet, they were feeling, I think, some chills in there as well too.
I think they were feeling something unearthly, and it was definitely trying to welcome them. I gather from watching this series that we need to introduce ourselves to spirits, and hey, they've got manners too, I guess. Yeah, and maybe they don't.
I mean, through some of the pictures here, I mean, they were talking about, that they felt a cold draft, during the hot Florida summer. And even Shotzi, the spirit tracker says freezing and, the bed would shake. And it was just a lot of interesting supernatural stuff that was going on here.
It made me a believer. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a spiritual realm, but I'm not always certain when I'm watching a paranormal show, including this one. But I'll tell you what, Shotzi and Scarlett were appropriate because you can tell this is in their wheelhouse. And with Rhea and Dom, that gel St. Augustine, and you said it, Tony, there was just a lot of just bizarre occurrences. And, you could feel it through Dominic's hair. Like you said, the devices, I mean, the way they could pick up the energy, it had me spooked, I'll tell you.
Yeah, it was definitely something, I know that they were hearing growls while it was going on. And, Dom and Rhea were actually pleading not to hear not to be touched, while they were inside
they had to
tell
it, yeah, please don't touch me. That's what I'm saying. Not all spirits are good. a lot of them can be mean and a little bit forceful when they're trying to introduce themselves. And you touched on it. Rhea and Dom were saying, please don't touch us. And I mean, it would still be persistent. So I don't know what the spirit was or what it was trying to attempt to do, but I would be like them. Just leave me alone, please. What do we do?
I know once they got outside of the jail, they took a big like sigh of relief, that they were done for the day, that there was like this huge weight that was just lifted off their shoulders just by walking out of the building, which, I mean, I'm someone that does believe that there is otherworldly beings out there and that there is spirits that still roam around. And I feel like,
oh, sure, I do too. I'm a believer. I mean, I may be skeptical on some of this stuff, but you can't tell me you can't feel certain things that are not explainable. I mean, it's out there. It's part of the universe. There's a lot of questions that are unanswered that we still are finding those responses to. So I'm definitely with you. I do think there's other supernatural powers out there, and it's very frightening. I mean, to say the least.
Yeah. Now, as they transition into episode 2, Scarlett Bordeaux's husband came on the show, Karrion Kross, which was pretty fun. It was the gateway to hell cool. At Bobby Mackey's Music World in Kentucky.
No, this one was even scarier because there was actually an exorcism of one of the guys. There was organized crime. It was saying Scarlett's name, and even Karrion Kross said he's a little bit skeptical, but yet he believed because he's been on enough of these trips with Scarlett. They're really married and had been dating prior, and Karrion Kross said this is not the kind of music place you want to visit. Now it's different if you're in Nashville, and nothing against Kentucky. But when you're going to Bobby Mackey's, this is a place, I mean, if you want to experience some supernatural transpirings, you've definitely came upon the right location. I'll tell you, this one had me scared right off the bat.
Yeah, I love the fact, that there's like a warning sign for them that, stuff can happen because they have said that, management is not held responsible and that people have actually been followed home and scratched after visiting a place such as Bobby Mackey.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to try to tell them, let me buy you another round and you just stay there. I'll go to my house. That is so out there. It is so unique for the spirits to latch on. That just goes to show you that's definitely a highly haunted paranormal. It's got all the activity. I'm even trying to find the words because it scared me. I'm telling you, it was just what an experience if you go to Bobby Mackey's in Kentucky.
Both Scarlett and Shotzi talk about, the ghosts and stuff. And Shotzi even says in the episode that she's cool with ghosts, but demons are a different thing. And there's even like a voice that comes on the little tracker that they have. And it says that they know I'm dead, which is just really, really freaky to me.
No, it freaks me out. You said the proper word there, Tony. Yeah, spirits are one thing. Demons are a whole nother ball game, and that's where I would stay away. But hey, these ladies were brave, and so were the guests, the other WWE superstars like Karrion Kross. And, he's got a swagger about him, man. It makes me respect him more and why I can buy into his character and Scarlett. Because guess what? Scarlett's into this kind of kooky stuff. So, and I'm not knocking it. It had me fascinated.
Yeah, it was definitely, I know there's a part where the voice even comes out and it says, "My blood," as they head down to the dressing room that belonged to a dance hall girl. And supposedly from what the show says that her dad owned the nightclub and I guess killed her boyfriend. And then she ended up poisoning her dad and then herself in the basement of that establishment.
Yeah, so anywhere you go in any of these places, especially Bobby Mackey's, you're going to encounter, I don't know if probably an evil presence because you're dealing with demonic spirits, like you're saying. They're different than a lot of your regular activity, which is creepy in itself. Yeah,
you can see Scarlett was absolutely terrified during this encounter here.
I mean, look at the way her expression, her hands are on her head. If you're seeing the pictures that Tony's put up here, I mean, I would be as well. I would be like, okay, how long we got? Can we just find out what we need to find out? And where's the exit?
Yeah, Shotzi even feels something like pushing her head. and nobody was even like pushing her, I should say, and no one was even close to her.
No, you can tell. Shotzi was just standing up by herself. There's Scarlett, and Karrion Kross is way over there. So there was nobody around her. So it had to be this supernatural presence. I mean, just how do you even describe the feeling, Tony? I guess I've got some questions myself when watching these episodes. It was a very unnerving yet interesting experience. I mean, it's really hard to describe what you actually feel during these episodes.
Yeah, I think the one part that really freaked me out was when Shotzi talks about her thighs being grabbed, and then the spirit actually says "grab" while it's going on.
I know. They're actually trying to grab. I mean, you touched on it earlier with Rhea and Dom. The spirit's touching them, and like you said, it's almost like it's protocol. Hey, we're going to make you believe. Here you go. I'm going to touch your leg. What else can I do for you?
Right. I know when they actually end the episode, Scarlett describes the experience of it's like being at that bar and there's a drunk, annoying person that you just can't shake. And that's exactly how, like she says, I guess the spirits that they were dealing with, that's kind of how she described being inside.
And when you think about it, Tony, it does not surprise me because there was a lot of rough people that frequented that bar even back a long time ago. So she was probably correct. There was a lot of sleazebags. No wonder they were grabbing poor Shotzi's thighs. I mean, come on. Even if you bought them another round, it wouldn't have worked anyways. It would have been, just a scene out of The Shining where it was the spirits making you think they could drink. But, there's no designated driver for them, and there shouldn't be. The only designated destination you guys say here, don't follow me home.
Yes. That has to be really freaky. I mean, and it's crazy because so many people have so many different experiences. I had the wrestler Sean Phoenix recently on here where we did an aliens and UFO podcast. He talks about how people tell him stories, but it's hard to believe other people's stories that are so crazy, but yet everybody seems to have some kind of crazy encounter at a different time and period.
Yeah, someone's always got a type of story like you're relaying there, Tony, where it's so weird upon hearing it. But then you have to remember, if it happened to me, I mean, I would probably sound crazy, and it's very just intriguing. I don't know how else to say it. That's what I love about these episodes. I mean, I'm actually maybe speechless, which could be a blessing for Tony and the audience. I don't know.
I was going to say, I think a lot of people think we're crazy, even though we don't have spirits.
Hey, I'm wearing a Halloween shirt on November 1st. I may be wearing it for Christmas. Then somebody get my meds.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. Now let's jump into episode 3. Episode 3 was pretty interesting here. As they went into Louisiana, to New Orleans, and on the show, they had Grayson Waller, and they went to Bloody Mary's Haunted Museum and Spirit Shop. And it's funny because when the episode starts, Grayson is all cocky and he's playing it up as if they think he's going out for a night on a town to drink Bloody Marys, but in fact, he gets quite the surprise when he has to deal with Bloody Mary herself.
Yeah, he thought he was going to get the alcoholic version, and he got the very sinister. Actually, she was a gracious host, but this medium, like you were talking about, named Bloody Mary, and this haunted museum, it was in New Orleans, which, let's face it, no disrespect, but the Big Easy has been known to have a lot of haunting places. So why not? It's fitting and to go in here. And what about the creepy dolls? I mean, I've seen all the horror flicks.
There you go.
Doll Hospital, and perfect, great transition. The babies' heads looks like they're staring at you. They're going to change expressions, and they've got voodoo down there, so that's even weirder. And it makes me already paranoid. And I don't even have dolls in my house, and it had me frightened. What is this, poltergeist? Come on, somebody help me.
Right. One of the things that was definitely crazy for me in this episode was them talking about somebody cheating, and there was a message affair that they got an affair, like so many kind of crazy coincidences that would happen to the WWE superstars that were happening, that then they would get these kind of tidbits from the people that were in charge of these venues that all kind of matched up together.
Yeah, they did. And it had tragedy with that affair story. That's one thing I probably, am going a little ahead here in the story. But it seemed like there was always specific rooms in all these episodes, including here at the Haunted Museum, where the lady, this is, I think, where she says, "Oh, I'm going to have dinner, but you guys can stay here."
Yeah,
And it's just, I mean, it's so nonchalant because she's so accustomed to having spirits, ghosts living in this house. And that's what got me. I kind of laughed in a way, not making fun of the show, but she's just so comfortable. I almost admire her that she's going, "Oh, I haven't had dinner yet. There may be an egg roll down there. Or you're in New Orleans, who knows? But you all just stay here and be petrified. I'm going to have my dinner." Okay.
Well, speaking of funny experiences, Cherry Bomb says, "I enjoyed the show. However, I would like to see more of the historical information and more investigation. It was filmed more to be a funny type of experience."
That's a good observation, because even though they were trying, it seemed like it was a lot of laughs. So she's got a point there. I have to agree with her comment.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some scares there, but I think they were, at times you could see them taking it seriously, and then at times it was like a little bit of too much clowning around, I think, right? To be a paranormal type of investigation.
And it made you wonder a little bit. And as much as I like all these wrestling promotions, and I admire where wrestlers become ghost hunters and have all these special guests, but it does make you ponder and question, that's where some of the criticism could come in. But at the same time, like you said, it had plenty of scares. Trust me.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts of this episode was the closet part right here, where Grayson has to go backwards into this like little tiny, creepy little closet area that looks like it hasn't been cleaned out in a very long time, and he barely fits inside of there. To me,
and there's
that's
more creepy dolls around it. I mean, now,
on top of that, right?
Yeah, it's like a tortured dollhouse, which is even more sinister. But yeah, how can anybody fit in there, especially a guy his size and with his range being tall and trying to fit in? But he made it work. But it's like some of these ghosts are really making it like a game, like it's a course you got to go through with these rooms and openings and hallways. I mean, it's very unique.
Yeah, you can see how cramped he was inside of that little closet. I mean, that gives me claustrophobia just looking at it right there.
I couldn't stand to be in there, and I doubt I could fit there. I mean, at least he could fit in the hole. I'd probably be okay. I'm out. I'm stuck.
That's a good thing. They can't volunteer me or you, Tyler, to go in.
Yeah. Actually, I'm out. I'm a little bit. I've got too much on the sides here.
Sorry, Grayson. Due to circumstances, neither Tyler or I could go.
He can get dinner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he does get something. He says something actually touches his foot when he goes backwards in there.
That's what I'm saying. There's always something that is making contact, and whether it's your foot, it's your hair, it's the back of your head, an arm, I don't care what it is, it would just give me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, I know at the end of this episode, it's something I would never do. I wouldn't even mess around with a regular Ouija board, let alone put myself on a Ouija board with a skull like they do at the end. I'm like, no, I'm out.
I would never volunteer. Yeah, those things, I've always heard some very bad stuff. So to me, that, speaking of it, either you're brave or I'm starting to wonder about your intellect. I don't care. I'm tongue twisted because I'll tell you, a Ouija board in itself has just got me all confused. I mean, it's just so creepy.
Well, I did enjoy all these episodes, and I guess we can maybe get to our favorite episode at the end. But for me, I thought this was like the weakest episode of the series. This particular episode. That was, in my personal opinion, I thought it was the weakest.
Yeah, compared to the others. I thought the second one was strong, and we'll get
to our favorites later on. But yeah, for me, this was to me, it was the weakest episode. But let's transition into episode 4, because I dug episode 4 with the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson jumping in, and they were at the Waverly Hills Death Tunnel at Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky. Now, I know you're not too far out of Kentucky. Have you ever ventured over to check out Waverly Hills, Tyler?
I have not ventured up to Louisville. to check out Waverly Hills. But for me, I would be frightened, but fears builds or at least let me put it like this, creates a curiosity. So I would still want to explore in a way like they're doing. But yeah, to have the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson was very cool. And wasn't there like a boy ghost that wanted to play ball? He was kicking the ball. I mean,
yeah, there was. I'll actually bring up the picture here. I did take that picture, which was really creepy right there. It was Timmy when Carl Anderson rolls the ball. And he said Carl Anderson was actually thrilled that Timmy didn't roll the ball back to him. He said, you know what? I can't even be mad. I'm so glad the ball actually didn't roll back at me, which would have been pretty crazy.
It would have been. And I would ask Timmy, thank you for giving me my Christmas gift and not actually kicking the ball back to me or making any kind of appearances.
Yeah, you can see the ball there, like in the hallway there. It just kind of went out there. And what was different in this episode? Well, I shouldn't say different because they actually introduced it here in this episode. Was Shotzi? They started using the sensory deprivation techniques in this particular episode, and they actually put her into like a little bit of a chamber. And, they took her sight away, they took her hearing away, and she could only listen to the little white noises that were coming in and was speaking as the ghost monitor, I guess, that Scarlett was using. And it was kind of crazy at the coincidences that were being picked up here.
Crazy is a nice way to put it because there was a lot of just unexplained noises and what they were able to pick up on, like you're saying, these headphones. I was writing down or typing up, what is this, iTunes ghost doll? I mean, it was just very odd, but yet all this stuff seems to work though. I mean, I was just having a little fun, but in all sincerity, they were able to pick up all these images, and that's what was freaky. I mean, it was almost like depicting what had happened years ago. Try to explain that.
Right. Well, in addition to Timmy, there was also a kid named Bert that they also came across, and the words came across, they've upset me, which is, I don't know, to me, that's absolutely freaky. And there's actually a voice that says, hi, everyone. And as you can see here in the picture, they go down to the underground tunnels. Because from what they said on the show, that there was 6,000 people that came here. It was a place for tuberculosis patients, right?
Yeah, it was. A lot of people that dealt with that illness, and that was the purpose of why they had this venue built. So yeah, going down that tunnel, I mean, nothing says Halloween more, especially the darker guy. Yeah, the unexplained breath, the way it was picking up on these different tools, or you could say devices they had. It was just eerie. I'm telling you, you don't need to watch a horror flick. Some of the locations they were going to had plenty of it.
Yeah, and both Carl and Luke also mentioned that it felt like they were hearing somebody puke while they were down there. They both felt that presence of somebody not feeling very well.
And that goes to show you brought it up with, them treating sickness, that it makes sense that they would probably hear somebody actually getting that way with the throwing up process.
Yeah, there was actually spirits saying that we're all around you. And what I found interesting, now they did actually drop some facts in this particular episode. Not all of the episodes did they drop a lot of knowledge, but here they talked about that even the staff that came to work at this particular establishment, it was a death sentence for everybody. You just didn't go home, right? If you're a patient, yeah. Or I think for the most part, the high percentage of it.
I mean, this was your last resort, to quote the Eagles song. I mean, it just was. I know that's a harsh way to say it, and I don't mean any disrespect, but I mean, it was the end. And I'll tell you, I couldn't imagine. And you got to remember the technology with surgery, what they know about medicine nowadays, they didn't have the luxury back then. So you could see where a lot of things could go haywire real quick.
Yeah, and with all the episodes here, they all had some type of ending. This one was a little weird with the ending because there was actually, it just ends abruptly, and it says, "Haven't you died?" And it just kind of ends. It was I don't know if the editor forgot to put something on the end of this episode,
or maybe a ghost was messing with him during
or maybe the footage, that was it. They just like ran out of footage right there. Like,
it was very odd, because normally they'll come out with them and talk about their experiences, and there was nothing.
There was nothing. No. Well, as we jump into episode 5 here. Now, this one has Drew McIntyre in it, but it's a little weird because Drew doesn't show up to kind of like halfway through this episode, and they're at the Pennhurst Asylum, which was infamous as a haunted hospital in Pennsylvania, opened in 1908.
Yeah, this one was another odd one, just because they were at Pennhurst. You've probably seen a lot of these locations on the Travel Channel shows. To be honest, that's where I kind of would, even if I didn't know a whole lot about the background of them, it was like, okay, there's a familiarity with the name. But yeah, Drew McIntyre, that was very bizarre that he only showed up when he's the featured guy. We're talking about a former champion, Scottish Warrior. But I do love the way he's introduced playing the piano. Yeah, I mean, they think it's a spirit that's playing some kind of John Carpenter inspired piece from Halloween, and it's Drew McIntyre, just one finger at a time. Yeah, well, I mean, that was epic.
You thought it was epic? To me, I felt like that's where it got silly for a little bit, because it was, they're hearing the piano sounds and they're freaking out, and then Drew McIntyre's in there, and I was just kind of, for me, I don't know, I was kind of like,
you felt it was
a little cheesy there. Yeah, to
like
me.
That was kind of meant to be, instead of unexpected, like, oh, it's Drew McIntyre. He's just playing the piano. He's like, well, hey guys, how are you? I can't do a Scottish accent, but I shouldn't even tried.
Yeah. Well, throughout this episode, they came across a little boy named Mick who seemed to need help crossing over. And even says yes when Shotzi asks him if he needs help crossing over. And then they actually go into a second building, and there's like a massive body. They talk about this massive body entity being in there that hurts
Skippy.
people, and it's Skippy. That's kind of like a creeper.
Yeah, and nothing says ghost like Skippy. To me, that should be a happy spirit, but this guy was mean.
Right?
He was the opposite. I mean, he would try to fight you, or at least come against the ladies here. And Drew McIntyre, what I did find interesting is he challenged even the spirits. He's like, come on, move something.
Yeah, he was getting super cocky in that episode. Yes, he was.
He was feeling his haggis, man.
Yeah, Cherry Bomb says it was cut off with laughing faces, and says, oh no, Drew was asking for trouble in this episode, which he definitely was.
Yeah, Drew's got to be careful. I know in the physical world, he could have took Skippy on, but who knows? Skippy, this was his environment, so Drew's got to watch out.
Yeah,
if I looked like Drew was like him, I don't blame him. I'd be confident too, but come on, man, these spirits will get you. You got to be careful. You're in their ring now. You're kind of in their world.
Yeah, because he was like literally telling him to push him or move something or do something. I mean, he was ready to throw down with a ghost, right?
They really were taunting the ghost, and we're not saying haunting. Taunt means like bring it.
Yeah. Now Drew does try the sensory deprivation in this episode.
No, he does, and it's cool because he actually has had experiences with spirits, and he talked about his grandmother actually being a psychic or medium of some sort. That's kind of been brought up by, I think, Scarlett or Shotzi, or maybe both of them asked him.
Now, in addition to Drew, there's also another special guest. And of course, Karrion does show back up here in this episode as well with them. What do you think about Karrion jumping into this episode, making it a foursome here, essentially?
I didn't mind it, even though I'm a little disappointed, because nothing against Karrion Kross. I would have liked to just seen Drew. If you're going to do that, advertise both of them. I mean, I don't mind the surprise. I think that's what they were going for, and I'm kind of contradicting my previous statement. But for me, just keep Drew and the two ladies there. What do you think?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. It kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. Although we did get one freaky part out of the whole situation, which I thought was very interesting when Karrion actually feels something pull the back of his hair, and when Scarlett feels herself being pushed. So maybe that gave it that extra little bit of freakiness that maybe this episode needed. I think maybe
Skippy wanted Karrion to join. like you said, and it actually helped the episode. Because I will say, for Drew McIntyre to be a part, it was kind of a letdown a little bit, because he only showed up to play us a little piano. I mean, nothing against Drew, but if I wanted Jerry Lee Lewis, I would have got him, or Billy Joel or something.
That's true. Yeah. I guess maybe right up there with the other, the Louisiana. Actually, maybe now that we're talking about it, I might actually have this as my lowest rated. Hey, well, hopefully we get to better episodes for the last two. Right? Well, episode 6 I thought was dynamite. Now I really liked episode 6. That one had 3 guest stars on there with Alba. It had Kayla, and it had Dawn. And they went to the Lizzie Borden House, the notorious site of an unsolved double murder. And they were actually supposed to spend the night up in the attic in a bedroom.
Yeah, better them than me. But I'll tell you, Lizzie Borden, I think, was on the most haunted list for America, the top 10, from what I can recall. And Lizzie Borden, if you've not heard of her story, they believe, and you can help me, Tony, that she took the axe and murdered her dad, right?
Well, I mean, I think we could jump right to this part, because they were using this like AI imaging sensory thing during the episode. I'm butchering the name of the device by calling it a sensory thing. But what they got was like an image of a woman in a dress, and like one of those dresses that they would have worn back in that time, murdering somebody from this imaging. And from what they say is that the actual device has no type of GPS in it, so they wouldn't know where they're at.
So it's very interesting, because they say that Lizzie Borden, supposedly, as the story goes, that she snuck up on her father while he was laying down or something on their couch, and it seems to be depicting somebody coming in to murder somebody, from what you can gather from those images. Still, they're a little blurry, but at least clear enough to pick up something, like you said. And instead of YouTube, who needs it when you've got GhostTube?
That's for sure. You know, they talked about her being in a Victoria dress, in which she burned because, she said she got paint on it, I believe, but it was obviously blood splatter, if I was to guess.
I would think it'd have to be blood. If you took an axe to somebody, you're definitely going to have blood. And it was horrible. I mean, for her to do this and strategize. And from what we were able to tell, it looks like this other girl named Emma conspired with her, possibly.
It could be, because they said about her being so far away, or some type of alibi, or that just, wouldn't work out.
Some things just don't add up. But what adds up is when they get in this room.
Yeah, it was like a whole different, I mean, the room alone, again, it feels like you're completely closed in. Like, would I want to be in a room that's not haunted and looks like this room? Probably not anyways. But they had to go in and...
Well, they had to check it out. And here's the thing. I'm sure they knew ahead of time where to go, but they couldn't go to the most haunted places just yet, as far regarding the houses or the jails, because you got to build up some anticipation. I mean, let's be honest, as much as I liked it, you could kind of see this theme going on.
That is true. That is very true. I know the spirits say through Shotzi, something about to the that you'll see, and they ask if it's safe in there, and the voice just says, "My room." And the spirits don't like being filmed.
They don't.
To me, I'm out of there.
Me too. If it's especially speaking to me, I'm like, that's all you had to say. I'm going to be mannerly, as nice as can be, and I'm out of here. You can have your room. And I must say, I got very distracted because you had all women in this episode. I'm just going to be transparent. It was Happy Halloween for me, and I'll save that for later. But anyways.
Well, I know they were asking the spirits at one time if they did like what they saw, and I think
beautiful transition, wasn't it?
Right? I mean, you got 5 ladies there on the couch, and of course, I think even the spirits were happy to see the 5 ladies in one row.
I think the spirits were like, okay, all right, this is looking better. Right. I know if I was a spirit, I'd be respectful, but I'd be okay. Things are getting better. What did I do to deserve this? And somebody called Ghostbusters, but in this case, this would actually be a good call.
Right.
If you were the people touring the venue. Now, if you're on the, getting haunted by the spirits, not so much.
Now, here in this particular shot, Alba is laying on the couch and she's doing the sensory deprivation, and she actually throws the headphones off and she's scared because the one word that she hears is run from the spirits.
Correct. And that's all you got to say. It doesn't have to be 3 words, 4 words, 1 word. And like you said, that's all it takes. I'd be trying to do my best Forrest Gump.
And run, Tyler, run.
Yes, run to the hills. It's Iron Maiden.
Now, it's crazy. One of the things that I remember growing up is that people would do the whole light as a feather, stiff as a board. And they actually do that here in this episode, which is kind of freaky.
That freaked me out. You were talking about when they laid on the Ouija board in New Orleans. This was, I think, just as freaky, where she levitates.
Right. And they're like, Scarlett, you're not that athletic. You're not that limber. This isn't happening from natural causes. Cherry Bomb says to see the actual image is creepy, and I'm guessing that's of the Lizzie Borden axe murdering scene, which is completely freaky as heck.
Yeah, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up. I just want to tell you, after seeing all these scenes, especially about Lizzie Borden, and Scarlett just going up in air because they were saying what a seance. I mean, you got to be careful when you're kind of provoking some of this. I mean, whether you're meaning to provoke or invoke, maybe it's the opposite, and you're welcoming. I mean, it's definitely going to be some weird stuff going on.
Look in the chat right now. We have a YouTube celebrity, none other than Mountain Bike Q&A is in the house. Johnny U from Mountain Bike Q&A, and he says, never in my life was I ever light as a feather, but we did that too. Well, Tyler and I were probably never light as a feather either.
No, I was just about to say, I've never been light in my life.
Yeah, if you guys haven't, and Tyler, I also recommend go check it out. Mountain Bike Q&A. He does a podcast every 2 weeks, and he says, stop it." No, he has a great podcast where he talks about mountain bikes, and you don't even have to like mountain bikes, just like you don't really have to like wrestling to enjoy our podcast either. I think.
I couldn't have said it better. I was trying to find the words, and you nail it every time, Tony.
Now, as we go into episode 7, and of course, me being rushing today, I realized that I didn't take any images from episode 7. So the people will just have to see our lovely faces while we talk about the final 7th episode here.
I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I know you get a lot of great scenery there. And for the ladies, Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross, for that, not saying anything against Tony. I'm saying for me. So
no,
it's scary enough. I tried to hide my face, but the hat will just have to do. It's not enough.
Well, luckily, episode 7 just aired yesterday, so it's the freshest one in our mind. And I thought episode 7 was pretty darn good with Bailey. What did you think about episode 7, where they go investigate the Sarah Winchester in San Jose, California?
Yeah, and it was neat that both Shotzi and Bailey are from San Jose, so they grew up pretty close and knowing the legend. And I have heard a lot about the Winchester house, and what they were saying, and help me if I don't get this correct, Tony, is that Sarah Winchester was so fearful because she was married into the Winchester rifle family that due to the bloodshed that the rifle was able to do, that she built so many rooms or the whole house, the mansion, so bizarrely to confuse spirits.
Which is crazy that somebody would actually build like a Pac-Man house, right? And so in their own house to hide away from the evil spirits, right?
I mean, that's one way to go, but if it's haunted, it's still haunted. Evidently, it didn't get the job done because either her spirit is still haunted or there's plenty others that people claim to see, the eyewitness accounts. And it's mainly tour guides. I mean, imagine having that job. It'd be kind of cool, but then it'd be very scary. It's like, all of a sudden I'm seeing these images that I'm not supposed to be seeing every day.
Yeah, Mountain Bike Q&A says horror is my favorite genre. I know he's a huge fan of Jeepers Creepers, by the way. He says you have to check
That's
this
a
one
freaky
out.
movie. I've seen it, man. That is a good pick.
Yeah. Have you watched all Jeepers Creepers movies, Tyler, or just the first one?
I think just the first one and maybe bits and pieces of some of the other ones. But to me, I'm always more the original, just like with the Halloween. I like 2018 version was good when they redid it, but I'm kind of old school. I go back to the first one, maybe the first couple.
Yeah,
No,
Cherry
not on
Bombs.
every genre.
Right. No, of course. Cherry Bomb says the last episode was her favorite episode in the Chamber of Horror series. And it's funny
It
because
was fascinating. No,
go ahead,
you go
Tyler.
ahead. That's all I was going to interject.
Oh no. Bailey talks about ghosts and that she actually had an experience, which I thought was really really crazy. That she talked about when they were on a UK tour in NXT. That she was talking to a man named Randy, I believe. She couldn't remember the name either, and he gave her a tour of the whole place where they were staying.
Exactly.
Then she wakes up the next day and asks to speak to Randy, who works there, and nobody's ever heard of him. Like, described him everything like crazy.
Did you mention how real though it seemed that Randy was taking this tour for Bailey around this hotel, and all of a sudden to find out and ask about him and go, "Oh, there's no Randy here. We hadn't heard." I mean, talk about scary. That tops it. I mean, when you've actually been, guided by a ghost, an actual ghost. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Now, speaking of scary in this particular episode, the one thing that got me was, I believe it was Shotzi that was there. She was kind of like in the background, and there was another entity also, and it was like a dog or whatever. Some type of animal, and it was acting like a dog that was scared, and you could see the visualization of the dog. And as she bent down to get closer, the entity moved back as if it was actually backing away like a scared dog would.
Yeah, we forget it's not just people, but it's animals. And I want to go back to the 6th episode, Lizzie Borden. There was a ghost cat. I forgot to mention, where Shotzi felt it go across her legs like a cat would do. So we forget that it's not just human spirits. A lot of times it's, I guess, animal spirits, if you can believe it. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to seem like I'm off my rocker, but come on, we're talking about ghosts. I mean, I'm already there.
Yeah, the person at the Lizzie Borden House said that they believe that there are many cats, I guess, at that particular venue. But there's like, I guess one cat in particular that really like stands out to them. And to feel that like little brush across like your calf when you're
so freaky
on a place like that.
It's like, what do you say? Here, kitty, kitty. I don't see it, but here you
go. Get the fancy feast out and feed that cat.
Well, I was about to say, get the fancy feast, the milk. Here you go. All of a sudden, you'll see it visibly just, going away.
Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy.
What I did like about episode 7, not only did I like some of the tools that they were getting to use, but I actually like the way that the three ladies played off of each other, that, Shotzi and Bailey are friends. I did too. And it kind of gave it that, like, I'm going to hang out with Scarlett because I don't trust Shotzi, whether we're in a wrestling ring or in a haunted establishment as well, too.
Yeah, what I appreciated, they tried to keep the rivalry even on this show a little bit without going too far into it.
Right, exactly. It's like you knew that they were in not the WWE universe per se at the time, but like that they're still in the WWE universe even when they're at a haunted mansion.
Kind of blurring the lines a bit.
Yeah. Now, episode 7, I mean, I thought it was a fun episode when it all wrapped up. Probably, I would say, for me, I would say this episode and the Lizzie Borden House were probably my top 2 episodes. Although I did like the Dominic Mysterio one as well, too. So
I did, too. I think the last 2, Lizzie Borden House and the Sarah Winchester House, were my favorites. I also like number 2, even though I'm not crazy about the demonic stuff. It still freaked me out. I mean, it kept me interested. I mean, the Bobby McKay's in Kentucky. Did I get that correct?
What's crazy is that you got a big dude like Karrion Kross, and he says that, I guess throughout his life, he's always felt like spirits have been following him around, and he's felt these other entities. And as a big muscular dude and, macho American guy like Karrion Kross, I guess maybe admitting that he's being followed around by spooks or ghosts or other entities isn't maybe the coolest thing in the whole world, but it kind of shows that like maybe anybody could be.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how big you are. I mean, we saw with Drew McIntyre, Gallows, and Anderson are still good-sized guys too. And I guess, man, if it's Skippy or whoever, maybe they're throwing out a challenge. Hey, this is our ring, man. You're welcome to our territory. I mean, very, very compelling. I mean, just to know that, yeah, Karrion Kross also, like Drew McIntyre, I think his family had experiences supernaturally with mediums. And I don't get into all of this, but it's still very, my interests are piqued. I mean, I'm enamored in a way, just hearing him share his family stories, all of them with Drew McIntyre. And it helps me to understand why Shotzi and Scarlett are very interested in this type of content, because it helps you understand their characters a little bit better.
Yeah, I felt like Scarlett was very like meant to do this type of deal. Like when you watch her on the show, like she really does,
was.
right? She really does get into it. Shotzi might be the younger one, so maybe she's still a little extra energetic for this type of show.
I tell you, she is
I mean,
pumped though.
Right.
Yeah, she goes right into it. She's like, "Oh, it's the most haunted
Yeah.
place. I don't care if there's a big demon. Okay, I'm going." And I'm
Well,
like,
maybe-
"Yeah, I'm back."
Maybe because she has a lot more guts than me and you. Maybe that's why she gets more excited.
I think that's it. I think she's got
Right?
a lot more guts. I think a lot of these women got more guts than me, because I'd be like, I'd probably be crying or like, "Can I get a Happy Meal or something?"
Which way? I came for Disney World, not. I came for Disney World's Haunted Mansion, not.
I actually came for a
Haunted
rock
Mansion.
band, but I didn't come for the haunted Grateful Dead or nothing.
No, not at all. Now, is there any things that you would like to see improve? I feel like I definitely would like to see a season 2 of the show.
I would love to see a season 2, and it's always evolving. I would like it to be a little more serious. It's okay to have some entertainment value to it, and I understand why they went that route, but still make it a little more serious. That way, to me, it draws you in a little bit further, but maybe that's what they're teasing for the next season. You just got to be patient with it.
Right. I think the one thing that threw me off was them trying to put the entertainment editing into the show. Specifically, like in the last episode, they showed like a reenactment of like a guy with a mysterious hat walking down the hallways, like kind of trying to reenact as if what they're describing. For me, like I don't want to see that kind of stuff. I want to maybe make my own visualization of what they're talking about versus them trying to tell me what I think I should be seeing,
Yeah. Takes away from the overall product a little bit. Meaning, no disrespect, but we have to be honest with our likes and what we didn't enjoy as much. And, there's always going to be room for improvement. Even some of my favorite horror films or favorite TV shows, there's always going to be those episodes and even certain seasons. And I think you could just equate it to a number of things. But there's definitely room for improvement. But I did enjoy the overall shows and different installments and seeing the guests, and can't wait to see what other superstars they may tag along.
Yeah, as each episode ended, I was definitely looking forward to the next episode. And even after the Bailey episode, which of course we know is the season finale, I'd be down for some more episodes as well too.
Yeah, give me some more. And it's a shame they can't open it up for CCW and some of the other Florida promotions, because I could think of Skits would be excellent. I mean, he screams this literally.
Right.
He'll scream for you and change his voice, and he would be perfect. Imagine him communicating with these spirits and these different voices. That would be a show into itself. It may, make Chamber of Horrors, I hate to say it, as much as we're fans of it, it may give it a run for its money.
that would be a good one. That I would put my money behind that one. How do we invest in that product?
Yeah, Skits, are you listening? Please don't take an ear or nothing. I'm just
even if he's at training, I think he's listening right now. I think he still hears us, right?
He's got like a spidey sense or something. He can hear us even though he's training or whatever he's doing.
Yeah, I do really appreciate what WWE did do here, because AEW did the reality series where they took you behind the personal lives and kind of like their struggles and stuff. But I like the fact that they went in a different direction. It just wasn't a reality show like the Bella Twins or something like that. That they actually like found Scarlett and Shotzi in something that they're extremely interested in, something they're extremely invested in, and let them show off their personality and bring other superstars into that. So I think this was a great win for WWE for put together, letting them, they don't do this type of programming very often. So the fact that they let them do a little outside of the box, I think it's a huge win. And I really enjoyed seeing, especially Dominic Mysterio, like completely freaking out inside that.
Yeah,
St.
me
Augustine
too.
jail.
I mean, just to see the different reactions, Rhea Ripley, as tough as she is, even she was a little skittish. I mean, that's what's unique too. Mommy herself was like, okay, I think I'm done. I'm ready to leave whenever you are. And, but yet they were still enamored in a way. And I think it is a victory because these ladies, I think they put a lot of trust. Like you said, they're passionate about this sort of thing. And even though Bayley admitted in some that they're not sure about certain things, they're like, well, this made me believe, even if I did believe it, it kind of reinforced my conviction. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that was my favorite part. Now, for me, I've actually done 2 ghost walking tours. I've done Savannah and I've done one in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Savannah, I never really got nothing out of it. I felt like I did see, I mentioned this with Sean Phoenix the other night, that the only thing I saw was at a graveyard, and there was like a little blue light that I couldn't see with my physical eye that the camera was picking up while we were at this haunted graveyard. And Gatlinburg, while I didn't see anything, the stories that they told about like a child falling off a balcony and haunting the hotel and stuff like that, I really got into it. Have you ever done any type of like ghost walking tours, Tyler, or anything like that?
Believe it or not, I have not, but I would love to go to Savannah or Charleston, some of those old towns, and Gatlinburg. I didn't realize even Gatlinburg had a haunted ghost tour. My luck, I would find a relative that's mad at me, a moonshiner. He'd come down from the hills and go, listen, where's my inheritance? Where's my allowance? And then he'd try to shoot me. That'd be my luck.
Okay, Tyler, you are not allowed to go on any ghost walking tours. You are permanently banned.
I'm banned. I'm that bad already.
I mean, you don't want to put that bad juju out in the universe.
I don't either. No
spirits, right? I wouldn't.
I'll be at Old Smoky's distillery. You can find me there.
I'm going to be there. I will. Let's do that, there, Tyler. We will be at Old Smoky's doing moonshine shots. 100%.
Yeah, let's go. I'm ready for it. Then we can visit Cooters, the Dukes of Hazzard Museum. There we go, man. I'm a Southern stereotype already.
Gatlinburg is an amazing place. I went there last year, did the ghost walking tour there, and it's super fun. So if anybody who's watching this on demand is into like spooky stuff, which you probably are if you're watching this episode, I would recommend going and checking out that Gatlinburg ghost walking tour. We had an amazing tour guide. It was super fun. And I would definitely be down to doing a little bit more ghost hunting in the future.
I would be interested. I wouldn't act silly. I'm just, hey, we're having fun. Listen, we'll provide some entertainment. Oh, road trip in November.
Well, Cherry Bombs is going on yes, we are going on a road trip in November. We are actually going back to Gatlinburg in November for 2 days. So who knows what we may come across in November? We'll definitely be at Old Smoky. We'll definitely be at Old Smoky, but who knows?
I've actually was so invested in Old Smoky, I got me a ball cap.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, representing. But yeah, it was so funny because they had like an eggnog shot, and I'm like, okay, I like regular eggnog. Not sure how it mixes with the moonshine, though. That's where I kind of left it alone.
That's where you draw the line. Okay. Yeah. What would you say is your favorite episode and your least favorite episode from the series, Tyler?
Favorite episode is a tie between Lizzie Borden and the last one, the Winchester House. And like I said, number 2's up there, where Karrion Kross and Scarlett Shotzi visited the place in Kentucky that was haunted. I don't know why I can't remember his name. Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard Museum. I'm with you, man. I'm in too.
Dukes of Hazzard.
That was probably the episodes my least were. I hate to say it, the one with Drew McIntyre went crazy, and probably like you, the third one, New Orleans, that was a letdown. I don't think the haunted museum was that cool. There were so many other areas they probably could have visited, and that's going to sound harsh, but it's my opinion. I mean, I can't help it.
Right. Okay. Or any final thoughts? I mean, I definitely agree. I think the Drew McIntyre, I hate to give it a run for their money for their weakest episode, and the New Orleans were probably the 2 weakest episodes. And that the 7th episode was probably I just love the little dog backing away from from Shotzi at the time. Like in the little infrared thing that they were looking at, I was like as she bent down, that dog was creeping back at the same time.
He actually bent down like to pet it, but it was like it was going back, like it was scared. And it was the intricate details, like with anything, even with a show based on spiritual, supernatural, paranormal. You've heard it said all kinds of ways. But really, my final thoughts are: I hope there's a season 2. I really enjoyed doing this kind of program because, as much as I liked wrestling, this was still wrestling related, but I felt like it was still different because they were going to different places. It was almost like a Travel Channel show meets WWE in a way. It had some different dynamics, even though still different. You could still draw some parallels. So I just thoroughly enjoyed it, and maybe I'm a little weird in that regard, but I can't help it. I'm into this stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad. I watched all 7 episodes. I wanted another episode when we were done with it. So I was happy with the final product. I would say, like Cherry Bombs mentioned earlier, a little bit more facts, a little bit more knowledge, and a little bit more serious ghost hunting, and a little bit less on maybe the comedy part. And definitely like I don't like the fake editing to it. The like trying to scare you out.
Yeah, that gets a little too messy.
Like where they're at is scary enough. You don't need to give me that visual effect to like try to spook me up, because it doesn't. It just kind of brings me out of the element. Like just let me be immersed into what they're experiencing, and I think it's enough.
Yeah, things can be overproduced sometimes. There's nothing wrong with slick production, but sometimes you can have it so nice that it takes all the realism out of it. And I think that's kind of what you're saying there. And yeah, that's just some of the improvements I would like to see too. Because when you get facts, you're going to historic places, and I'm a history guy too. So I love finding out the research, what they're able to detail throughout these programs. And I realize they all got to vary, but I do want to see more in that regard, like you're talking about the research, the facts, and being a little more serious. It's okay to have a little fun and laugh every now and then, but you're supposed to be scared. So don't get me wrong. I don't think you're going to be laughing as much if you're scared. So there's the difference.
Well, yeah, excellent. I think if I had to give it a rating off the top of my head, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. I think that's a fair rating. Some really good stuff, but definitely a little bit of improvements to make it even better. I think some constructive criticism for all of us is always a good thing. And just those little things, I think could go a long way with making a really solid season 2. But the one thing that always fears me about WWE is that they started doing that little overproducing more and more towards the end. And I'm like, please slow it down. Like that's the direction that they want to go.
And the comedy segments, to me, save it for Raw or SmackDown or NXT, but don't bring it. I think that's what you find overlaps sometimes, and that may be what you're thinking of too. I'm like, yeah, we don't need it on your ghost show. It's okay on your other for the wrestling because you got to have different stuff, but not on the ghost series. But I was just going to say I'll give it a rating 7 out of 10. And I'll go just a little lower. I still liked it, but like I said, it's got to improve and grow on me a little more, even though I enjoyed it. And I will say, please, I'm requesting Alba Fyre, Isla Dawn, pardon me. I don't know if I said that correctly, and Scarlett and Shotzi for more episodes. That's a winner for me. That's I'll just leave it there. Speaking of scaring people, we've scared them enough. So
I guess then our final score would be a 7.5 out of 10. If you take the 8 and the 7 put together, divided by 2, it's a 7.5 out of 10 on this episode of Dropping Down from the Rafters. I think that's a fair.
Yeah, let's just put them together and get a bigger number.
There we go. Well, Tyler, what cool stuff you got coming up here in the future?
Well, I've got Tyler's Takedowns. There'll be new episodes coming out on the SJP World Media Network. They went through a rebranding with some cool new shows coming out. Also, Originals returning, and Tyler's Takedown was a new show. That's why there hasn't been any new ones yet, because we were rebranding. But luckily, with a lot of ones produced and hopefully edited, we'll have a lot more new ones coming your way of some of the modern stuff, some of the territory stuff, some old school WCW, WWE stuff if you enjoy that. So look for that on Anchor and, well, actually Spotify now and Apple Podcasts. And, hey, I'll be on Dropping Down with the Rafters when Tony needs me. There you go.
Well, we'll put out. We've got something big planned in December, though. We've got a 10-person podcast. We're not gonna exactly release the information, but we're gonna do a 10-person podcast. You're gonna be one of the contestants. We could say that contestants on the show. I'm going to be a contestant on the show. We've got a very special guest. I'm just going to say the Cheese is going to be hosting something for us on the show. So I'm going to put the reins of the podcast over to him because he does this as good as anybody does. I'm pumped. DMC is coming back for the show. And of course, he's always awesome to have back. And we've got a few awesome guests lined up, and but that's going to be in December. So if you haven't subscribed to Tone Entertainment, I mean, that's the plug alone. And
I mean, you got to do it.
You got to do it, right? And if you guys know my favorite wrestler of all time, it all coincides with this big 10-episode podcast in December. But November is a little crazy. I mean, before you know, it's going to be Thanksgiving. I'm taking a little bit break during that time to just enjoy some vacation time. But in the meantime, we've got another interview podcast next week. We've got one the following week. Julie Cutler is working on another show that we're going to be announcing very soon too, that we're going to be doing. Just lots of cool stuff. Plus we have CCW this Saturday.
Yeah, I can't leave them out.
Bash at the Brew in Hialeah. There's a new beer coming out. I'm going to be tasting it this weekend. I can't even say what else is going on, but we're going to do a taste test. And it's going to be awesome. And it'll be here on the channel next week.
It's going to be fantastic. I'm not even having to drink it, and I'm excited for you. He's going to do a drink vicariously through a spirit. Since we're talking about him, that's how it's going to work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but I just wanted to. I shot my shot.
I mean, we're talking about moonshine beer. You just get way too excited, Tyler.
Yeah, I do. And boy, people that watch this they're gonna have to pray for me, aren't they?
Send all your good thoughts and prayers to both me and Tyler.
Because Tony's going to need it with me on here.
I need it with myself on here, so it's okay. But yeah, we got lots of cool stuff in November and December. And I mean, I'm already planning up to March already for something huge. So we just got lots of great content.
Got a bunch of stuff. He's a busy man, Tony Miller. So
I'm out of control.
For you.
I'm out of control.
Congratulations. Well, you're a good kind of out of control, but seriously, I want to not only thank you, but hey, big time congratulations for all these interviews. I've been keeping up with you, even when I'm not on here with you. And Julie, I can't wait to hear about the new project. So I wanted to make sure and interject all the good things to Tony Miller here from Tone In Entertainment.
Well, Tyler, it's always a pleasure. You bring so much knowledge to each and every podcast and so much passion. And it's always a pleasure.
I appreciate it. I tried to go to school and luckily I made it. I did pass. So,
well, with that being said, I think that's the perfect way to wrap this up. So guys, if you like podcasts like this, the Dropping Down from the Rafters podcast on Tone In Entertainment, because man, I am pumped. We got so much cool stuff coming in the next 2 months. Guys, make sure you hit that red subscribe button so you can stay tuned in here to Tone In Entertainment for future videos. Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.